Well, it's that time, folks. It's that time. So the foodie Juan Kenobi has been up to it again, folks. She must be running out of content because she had to do something that she's done 100 times before. Is it mukbang her brains out that she passed out on camera and we don't know what happened to her until the next day? Nope, that wasn't it. Instead, she's going for the views. She's going for the drama. She's trying to do something that nobody's done before, that everybody in the whole community's done before, is talk about our former baby girl, Amberlynn Reid. Is she talking about her positively and making loving comments about her? Nope, that's never gonna happen. You know why? Because Foodie Juan Kenobi does her own thing. She says her own thing, and I don't know what she's doing over there, but it's something. But she goes on to, how can I say, shade former baby girl Amberlynn Reid. Is it about the Legos? Nope, that's not gonna happen. She's not gonna talk about that nonsense. Is it about being demonetized 2 times in 180 days? Nope, it wasn't that. She's going way back to the past, folks, and it's about the corner. And you know we don't put former baby girl in the corner, but this is what happened. Foodie Juan Kenobi on there have nothing other to do, but she's talking about Amberlynn Reid's wiping habits. We all know about Amberlynn Reid's wiping habits. I want you to think about this carefully. How sad is it as a community that we know how Amberlynn Reid wipes or doesn't wipe, and there's a whole documentary all about the edge of the table or the edge of glory or whatever's going on there with the corner, right? I want you to I want you to think about this carefully. You know, we spend a lot of time here in Girl World and we joke around and we do stuff and whatever's going on. But think about this carefully. We actually are worrying about Amberlynn Reid's wiping habits and Foodie Juan Kenobi over there talking about it. This is where we at, folks. It is the best thing you could possibly have. Think about it. I got nothing going on, but now I know all that's going on because Foodie Juan Kenobi wants to lay sideways on Kick and talk about this. But am I making the story up? Maybe I misled the story and I didn't translate it correctly in my brain. Maybe I had no clue what she was saying. But you know what I did? I did some detectiveness, folks, because you know how it is over here. We run around, we do detectiveness, and we prove what we got to say, like factual stuff. But this is what went on with Foodie Juan Kenobi. Look at it right here. Boom.
I can at least wipe my, which is more than I can say for like the other Gore World members. Think of it. All of them can't. Amberlynn uses a corner. You're gonna start making those. But I'm just saying, I like to be independent, like, about that stuff. I don't, you know. But she is too. Using a corner is still better than asking someone to do it.
You see right there, Foodie Juan Kenobi went all in on former baby girl Amberlynn Reid. And she talking about the wiping and all this stuff. And she pretty much at the end, she congratulated. She said, you have accomplished something. At least you don't need somebody to help you, right? I guess that's a positive that Foodie did over there. This is the content we talking about. It's the best thing ever. I love it, folks. And the funny part, Foodie Juan Kenobi has this in her head. She have it like, boom, she clicked them things and it's in her head. She knows all about Amberlynn Reid's wiping and she brings it up. It flows right out there like a conversation. When you talking to somebody and they hearing you and they talking about a smooth conversation, it just flow right off her tongue. She should be an actor, something like that. She made it even, how can I say, credible. She at the end, she said, you did a good job. Congratulations. So now that we done with that nonsense with Foodie Juan Kenobi, we're going to move on to another topic because, you know, she has tons of stuff. She's streaming, what, 39 hours a day, 16 days a week, 470 times a year. That's what she doing. At least she's showing up for work. Not like former baby girl Amberlynn Reid. We ain't seen her. We don't know where she at and nobody cares. That's how it is. But we're going to move on to the next topic because this one have to do with her cat. The one and only BG, the most beautiful cat around in the world over there, and Foodie Juan Kenobi has it. That is the saddest part. Foodie Juan Kenobi, you don't need no pets. You don't need no type of people to take care of. Absolutely not. But you gonna do what you gotta do over there. And the sad part, it has to do with the cat drinking water. I want you to listen to this. This is a basic necessity in the taking care of any animal. You gotta give them food. You gotta give some water. Give them a toy. Let them play. Give them a belly rub. Make them happy and enjoy their life with you, right? That's what you got to do. But I was watching this video carefully, the Kick stream over there, and I was watching the cat, BG, sitting inside of the sink, and the cat kept looking up, and you know what, the faucet. And if anybody's seen a cat or even a wild animal in the street, anybody, if they looking up at a faucet and they trying to hope that water can drip down on them so they can drink the water, this is what was going on during the live stream. And I was like, maybe this is a coincidence or something like that, but when a cat is looking to get water, right? No matter what they could possibly do, looking at a faucet, jumping around looking for water, and she just sitting over there with her big thermos bottle full of ice with a little straw over there, and she just drinking in water bottles all over the place. You know there's something wrong, because Cass is not running around trying to drink every single toilet water and sink water just for the fun of it. They're not just playing them games, right? But in this situation, that cat was looking for water, and I was like, maybe I made a mistake, right? Maybe it's not. But then I saw that she grabbed this big bottle, right, full of water, like Brita water filter, something like that. It was filled with water, crystal clear. It was cold, right? And she grabbed it off the counter and she put it on the other table to pour herself a big cup of ice water or whatever it is like that. And you saw BG stand up on the counter and pounce like how can I say, a tiger on a gazelle, trying to get at that water, trying to jump over there to dive inside the water filter to try to get something to drink. How thirsty does BG have to be that they want to jump and pounce inside of the thing? You know, cats don't want to be swimming. They're not trying to jump in pools. They're not trying to swim all over. They just be running away from the water. They don't want to be taking no shower with you with whatever Mr. Bubbles all over. They don't want to play none of that nonsense. They try to stay away from the water and the liquid, right? But in this situation, could not get water enough. And I said to myself, if your cat is living with you and you got 42 water bottles over there and ice and thermos bottles everywhere, and your cat is over there trying to hope to lick the, how can I say, the faucet to get a little bit drop, there's something you doing over there wrong, Foodie Wan Kenobi. And you know, in this community, nobody plays them games with animals. They may play games with everything else, and they may joke around, and they may do whatever they got to do. And if you don't know girl world rule number one, we don't play with pets, we love them. That's how it is here. We don't play around. And Foodie Wan Kenobi and Amberlynn Reid doing the nonsense what they do with all these pets they have is not allowed, right? We don't play that over here. So I was watching the video again. I said, you know, what I got to do is here is pay attention. So I started watching more and more kick streams right here. And I was like, BG's hanging out inside of that sink a lot, right? And sinks are usually not the most sanitary places in the kitchen, right? So I found another stream where Foodie Wan Kenobi was making a meatloaf. She had some eggs all ground up in there and raw meat and all this type of nonsense and spices and everything like that. And she was just squishing and squishing all over the place. And then she just tossed it inside of the oven, right? What nonsense she was making, she used to do some ketchup on top of that. And she just burned it inside of the kitchen. I don't even know what it looked like, but it was round, it was coated, and it was burnt. That's what it was. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice there, Foodie Wan Kenobi. If you would have added a little bit grape jelly to that ketchup and mixed it up and put it on top of that, you would have had like a barbecue sauce. It would have tasted a lot better. So I was continuing to watch what she was doing because she was clearly not following any sanitary, how can I say, regulations. There was no sanitary. She would have got an F rating. If she was like a store, she would have got an F rating. It would have not happened right there. So then I saw that she was trying to wash her hands. So she had all that raw meat, all that ketchup and everything on there. And how can I say, the eggs. They was all on her fingernails, up inside of her fingernails, all over her face, her body, whatever. She was smelling it and everything like that. And then she washed her hands inside of the sink. And she did like a little bit scrub on the hands, and that's it, and just rinsed it a little bit down the drain. So I said to myself, this is the same sink that BG be sitting in all the time and running around inside of there. And think about it, sometimes she turned the faucet on a little bit and let a little bit of water drip inside of there, and you see BG drinking a little bit from the bottom of the sink, that dirty sink with all the raw materials, because there's no way she's sitting there bleaching that and leaving it for 10 to 15 minutes, scrubbing it down and sanitizing it all the time. So she's letting the cat that she says that she's loved eat and drink out of a dirty sink, non-sanitized, with all raw materials, raw eggs and meat, and who knows what she's been putting in that sink. Because remember back in the day, maybe 5 or 7 years ago, when she had that pot that was, she left for 3 months inside of the sink or in the bathroom or wherever she left it in, was mold inside of there. It barely opened, and when it did open, it screamed for help because there was no way to escape. That's the type of person. She's not sanitary, and you're gonna let a cat, the pet that you love, drink out of the bottom of this filthy sink. Do you think Foodie Wan Kenobi would drink out of the bottom of the sink and lick the bottom of that sink after not being sanitized? Absolutely not. But this is how she treats her animals. This is how she treats people around her. I was watching a lot. She was out on the scooter. She making fun of people, driving around, bumping into people, beeping the horn, screaming and yelling, whatever it is. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. I'm Foodie Wan Kenobi. I'm on Kick and YouTube Live right now. I'm a celebrity. That's the type of person she is, folks. But it only gets worse from there, because I was watching another thing right here, and she was going to, how can I say, the emergency room, the urgent care, a person to seek medical help, right? And was she sitting there calmly waiting her turn in line to be happy and privileged to have medical coverage to seek help? Nope. She believes that she's so entitled that she should not have to wait in line. She should be the priority. Everybody should just stand at the back of the line and wait for Foodie Wan Kenobi to get there so that she could go first. She probably walks in there. She have a big sign saying, "I'm Foodie Wan Kenobi. I am on Kick Live right now to 3 people watching me, and I gotta get out of here fast because I gotta go lay sideways on my couch for another 19 hours for a live stream." That's how it is, folks. And I said this is like the rudest thing. And Foodie Wan Kenobi does a lot, but when you're messing around medical places and all that type of stuff, this is a no, 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 no. You do not do that. But how could it get worse? She instead starts filming people in there. She like filming and taking pictures of people inside of there. People are ill. They're very sick. They're there for a reason. They're not there for their pleasure to hang out, right? They are there to seek medical attention. And she filming these people, that's a no. You do not do this. Foodie Wan Kenobi, I don't even know what you're doing, but it makes no sense. But she, how can I say, had to say, I gotta prove to the haters that I was actually there. Nobody cares. Nobody believes what you're saying anyhow. And even if they won, they saw you in 4K, they would probably just turn their head and say, I didn't know what's going on. That's how it is, Foodie Wan Kenobi. You have created a whole situation where the community, even if you told the truth, they wouldn't believe you. That's the most dangerous thing you could ever do. You don't ever want to be that person that you out there seeking medical attention, or you out there in the street needing help and something happened to you and they think it's part of your skit. You're a comedian. You're doing a former baby girl, Amberlynn Reid. This is your character, right? And if there's one thing in girl world, they don't want no characters. They don't want no actors. They don't want no nonsense like that. They here for the real thing. They want the real drama. No, how can I say scripted nonsense? And that's what yous are creating. If you're going to come here to girl world, right? Foodie Wan Kenobi and former baby girl, Amberlynn Reid, and you want to be an actor and comedian, all this type of stuff, and a character, you at the wrong place. You need to change your tags to entertainment. Go over there and make acting videos. This community is here for real life, live drama, and gossip all the time. They're not here for acting. We could go watch Netflix. We could go watch some nonsense on some streaming service. We want to find fake nonsense. We could go to the movie theater and we could watch it there. The whole sad part of this is Foodie Wan Kenobi and Amber, they started out with the real drama and all this gossip, and they created a community around them that they denied. It's not their community. They don't like the people here, but they take all the benefits. That's the sad part, right? But the even saddest part of that, they went from the real actors that we was watching to characters in a show that nobody cares about anymore. That's why it is flopping, right? Both of them. Think about it. Does anybody in the comment section come here to watch former baby girl Amberlynn Reid and Foodie Wan Kenobi act and lie and make up fake stories that don't exist and say they characters and just do all this stuff that is nonsense that nobody cares about and you know it's fake? Or do you come here to see, how can I say, when Foodie Wan Kenobi had that ex and she was just driving 2.5 hours to peek inside of his window, climbing to the roof, bungee cording through the kitchen window because he didn't answer the phone? Were you over there when, how can I say, Beck exposed Amberlynn Reid about the corner? Were you there for the live drama, the real stuff, the non-acting stuff? Or would you rather them both, how can I say, scripted and be a character and come on and just make funny jokes and, lie and everything like that? No, nobody's going to do it. 100%, 0% people will vote for that. They're not coming here for that. We can watch fake people, right? We're not trying to do that. We want reality television live on YouTube that is like high school. That's what everybody's here for. We want to see real people making real mistakes and not scripting it. And when this ends, folks, I'm going to give former baby girl Amberlynn Reid, and I'm going to give Foodie Wan Kenobi the tip right here. When you start having to make it happen, that's when you have failed, right? When you do something that's real, it happens. You walk down the street, you trip on a banana peel and you fall. People laugh, ha 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 ha, dangle an ankle, right? It's funny and you laugh at it. Now, if you purposely go and step on the banana peel and you wiggle it a little bit and you fall down on the ground, nobody's gonna laugh. That is what they're doing right now. We don't want to see scripted. We don't want to see fakes. And that's where we at. We at like a stagnant era right now. They're both stagnant and they both making it up and they both going along as long as they get a paycheck. And that's the saddest part, because you have an audience that's real people and they're doing what they can. They donate into you, they're giving you super chats, they paying the bills, they helping you do whatever you're doing right there. And all you got to do is be who you are. That's who you was born you, and you should be you, right? If you need to act like somebody else, then you just not you anymore. And that's where people don't like, right? And that's where the community currently is. Between both of them, that's where we at. And until things change, right? And until they want to be back to who they were, we're not going any further. Well, that's the end of the video, folks, and I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. Later.